Hi, Armored Pants here, and I have another video for you in the German line. This is the Tier 9, the E75 heavy German tank. So let's have a look at the tech spec. This tank is, by the way, a beast of a tank, so it's something to look forward to. And as always, we're going to have a look at the tech spec on blitzhanger.com. I hope that you've watched the subsequent video, the previous videos, for example, on the Tiger 2 and the Tiger 1, etc. And now you're ready to look at the E75. I'm up at Tier 9 now with the big boys. The E75 is a typical heavy tank and can be played with typical heavy tank tactics. It allows you to be the spearhead to push through the enemy. It has a 128mm gun, so it has a massive gun. It does a lot of damage, but the DPM is poor compared to its other heavy tanks, the compatriots that it shares Tier 9 with, so just be aware of that. However, as you have a big gun, there are different shell options available, and if we look at APCR, when you load up that, you're pretty much going to pen anything. The pen is 311 compared to 246 in your AP, but the HE is 65mm, so that means you're going to pen all light tanks and most medium tanks at the back and at the sides. So therefore, load up HE because you can pen those tanks and increase your DPM significantly. Now, the muzzle velocity on this when using supercharge is almost 1200 meters per second, so it's very good, but a little bit less than the Tiger 2 before it. However, the gun handling is great. I really like the gun on this tank, like all German guns, as you would expect. It is reliable and accurate, and therefore, while you are not doing the same alpha rolls as, let's say, the Russian tanks or that in this tier, you are hitting every time. The front armor is very good in this tank, and if we look at the sides and back, you will see that there's a bit of armor except for the access hatch on the back of the turret. There's a bit of armor on the turret, but on the sides and back though you are vulnerable. Now look at this. Front on against a tier 8 tank, that armor is troll, and you can really be a top tier bully. Against tier 9s it's good, and even against tier 10s, look, it's still difficult to pen. So this is a front on tank, and basically it allows you, as I said, to be the spearhead, to be the tip of the spear, to push through, to punch through the enemy, and to form that bridgehead for your team. And you can do that with confidence in this tank because you know that that armor is not going to let you down. Also, the side armor, well, flat on is not great, but you can side scrape quite well in this tank, and you'll actually see an example of that in this game that we're going to see in a few minutes. Now, again, just looking at the armor, we can see on the side and on the turret that on the side that we can do some side scraping there, and side on it's going to bounce some shots for you. And the gun is very reliable. Now, just talk about DPM for a second. DPM, damage per minute. The calculations that they use here is simply the number of shells fired per minute by the average alpha roll to give you DPM. But that is based on the shells that you fire actually going through and doing that average damage. If the shells bounce, those DPM figures go out the window. And therefore, German tanks, because they have such reliable guns, tend to have a higher actual DPM than their theoretical DPM when compared to their competitor tanks. In other words, they pen more often and more reliably than, let's say, for example, Russian guns. So therefore, the reality of the DPM is more in line and may even be better for German tanks. So just something to keep in mind. Typical heavy tactics here we're going to see, which is what heavy tanks often do here. It can work very well or it can end in disaster, depending really on your teammates and how the other team goes. However, I decided to push on through here, and what I'm going to try to do is do a safe capture. Now you may ask, what the hell is a safe capture when there's so many enemy tanks in front of you? Well, because I know that this tank can side scrape, I am moving up here to do this as safe capture. So I am in a position here where even if the tanks push onto me, they're going to be faced with me side on. Now look at the frontal armor in action. See that? Bounce, bam, and that's from an IS-8. That has a pretty big gun as well. But this is what I mean, right? Russian tank bounce, German tank pens. So therefore, in theory, he's got higher DPM than me, but in actuality, just in that exchange, my DPM is much higher than his, and his is 0. Now I'm in a perfect positional and optimal side scraping and capture. This is what I meant about safe capture. I'm here capturing the base, and it's almost impossible for them to pen me. The line of my tank is, let's say, a bounce line. Any shots fired at me in that position are going to bounce, and I'm protecting the vulnerable front of my tank. A nice bonus shot into the IS-8 there. Now again, look at this. Bam, I'm just pushed to an angle. Just take that shot in the tracks. Again, no damage. Bounce another shot from the IS. And this is what I mean about effective DPM versus actual DPM. Now I'm going to push on because I really want to clear this ST1. The ST1 is a really vicious competitor. Troll armor on front and a dangerous gun. Now look at this. See how accurate my gun is? It's so reliable. Just ping that off. Bam, straight through the turret of the ST1. Now I'm switching up to APCR. Why? Because it's short distance and I want to make sure that I kill. Bam. Cleared the ST1, which I really wanted to do. Now I'm counting off his reload here, but I missed the first second. And you'll see what happens here. He hits me. So I miscounted his reload. I was out by 1 second, and that allowed him to put a round into me. So I was really annoyed with myself during the game for that. I'm pushing on here to push onto this T44, but I see T54 is there, but he just can't quite get away in time. Why was I pushing onto T44? Well, T44, I noticed during the game, was doing a lot of damage. He was all over the map, and he's a very, very good player. And he is going to take out one of these guys, and if I hadn't come along, he might have taken out the other as well. So he's a very decent player. Now watch this again. The gun, so reliable. Bam, no problem, straight in. And this is what I mean about, again, just to emphasize, real DPM versus theoretical DPM. The DPM in this tank is very, very good. Now the Pershing was behind me. I took a round right up the bum from him when I was going to help the others. But now that I know where he is, it's more even playing field. I was thinking here about a snapshot through the bushes, but I decided to keep my powder dry, and I wasn't sure exactly where he was. Now he spotted me, so I'm going to use the wall here. This is a tall tank, so I can actually put my turret over the wall by still keeping my armor, my hull safe. He's gone for capture. Probably his only option was to capture, and he can't go to B because we were there, and A he already has, so he's gone to C, which I guess is probably a good play from him. Now look at this, what I was doing there. That wasn't the gun, that was me. Now this is mobile side scraping. Again, what we looked at in the Tiger 2. Let's slow it down. What I do is I push the tank at an angle, and then I push forward to create a side scraping angle while I'm moving. And you saw I got the bounce there. Now I make up for missing that shot on him by using the frontal armor, and the frontal armor basically is an extra round, and it's one you never have to reload. And the frontal armor of this tank is brilliant, and you see there I hit him for almost 250 alpha roll with the ram bounce again. The armor in this tank is just great, and it's reliable. Angle it up as I did there, and you're almost certain to get a bounce, especially from medium tanks with lower caliber guns like the Pershing. So there we go, Mastery Badge, 3.7k damage. Again, I've done a lot more damage in this tank and not received a Mastery Badge. But it's down to really the base capture there, the bounce shots, movement around the map, and of course clearing 5 of the enemy as well. As we've always say on this channel, Mastery Badges are about XP, not about number of kills or damage. And XP is for activities other than damage and kills. It's also for base capture, bouncy shots, etc. So I got Top Gun, I got Reaper, and the Reaper medal obviously contribute towards the XP, etc., which allowed to obtain the Mastery Badge. So there we go, base XP of over 1.3k, which is pretty high, and that explains why I got the Mastery Badge. Give a worthy opponent T44 because he had a great game and he's a very good player. And this is what we should do. We should be gentlemen and gentle ladies in the game, and make the gaming world a better place to be in, right? Because there's enough trolls and toxic players out there. Now, it's a typical German heavy tank. If you look at the recap and the key points, great frontal armor. It really is the big daddy of the Tiger 2 beforehand. It has a great gun, which is very accurate, as you saw in the game. giving us effective DPM, which is excellent as opposed to theoretical DPM. Use supercharge and the refined gun to get the gun to its optimal level. It is a front-on monster, and if you're top tier you can really bully, and you can do what I did there, push on through, punch through to see, use your armor etc. to do that, to do capture and push the enemy out. Decent muzzle velocity, lower than the Tiger II, but it has 1200 meters per second, which is really good, and this makes long range shots easier. And use a refined gun to decrease your penetration loss over distance, and it won't let you down. It's a side scraping monster, both in fixed positions as I was in capturing C, and mobile when I was moving forward onto Pershing. And the next in line is the E100, which is maybe the quintessential heavy tank. It is a monster. Even at tier 10 it is a big bully, but take your time getting there. Play D75 a lot, play several hundred games in it, get proficient, get good, because when you go up to tier 10 you're in with the best players, and if you're not proficient you will lose, and lose badly. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers mush, hope you enjoyed it. Take care, talk to you soon.